Reviews. Is it ass or is it cash? The SSP-18. So I figured I'd give you guys my overview on this pistol from Novrich. Kind of how I've had experiences with it on the field, and is it reliable, and the things I like about it, the things that I don't like about it. I know there's a ton of these floating on the market, but I just wanted to, get into my thoughts and how I tend to play with it. So I do run this as a primary and a secondary. As a primary, I tend to run it a lot with this Wii drum mag, since I got like 350 rounds in here and it holds a lot of gas, don't have to reload, and I can go in minimalistic, run around in CQB matches and whatnot, and be real quick. I don't have to have any vests on or anything, no reloading, no nothing. And then as a secondary, I holster it alongside some Glock mags. So if you didn't know already, this is modeled off of the G18C. Obviously because it's a full auto and semi-auto switch pistol. So first things first. I didn't actually build this myself. I purchased this secondhand from the Hop-A-Bat from somebody, and it was already built like this. The guy charged me, I think it was like $300, which I didn't think was a bad deal because I think the pistol itself is around $200, and it's got a ton of upgrades on it. And it came with 3 mags and an adapter for HPA to run, I think it was like MP7 mags under it or something. Anyways, let's first get into the build of the pistol, and then we'll go from there. Get these out of the way. So, first of all, obviously it is modeled off the G18C, right? So it has that switch that I mentioned before. As with lots of Glock style pistols, obviously when the slide is racked, the trigger pulls forward, and then if there's not another round in it, or it doesn't refeed the pistol, the trigger locks back. It has stippling all around the pistol, on the back of the grip, the front of the grip, up by your finger slots, on the sides obviously. It has a beaver tail on the back, which I like a lot. Why? Well, because not only does it keep you from accidentally clipping yourself or clipping your hands, but if you didn't know, for some weird reason, all of the guns that Novrich makes, anything that has any rails or anything that has any sharp edges, are extremely sharp. There was a thing where, I forgot what gun it was, but it was one of his gas blowbacks. I think it was like that marksman rifle that he made. Not the SSX 303, the other one. People were like religiously cutting themselves on the rails on that rifle, just because the aluminum that was on it was so sharp. People had to sand it down. They're gashing their fingers open. I have personally already went to go rack this guy back, just like a single hand, because I was making a short with it. And I caught myself here, and I cut myself a little while back, because it's that sharp. Obviously, you do that with any pistol, but for some reason, the edges on these guys are so sharp. So going forward, it does have a nice bottom rail. If you know with a lot of other Glock style pistols, or any pistols at all, for some reason the rails look like they were just like made out of Play-Doh. They aren't very rigid at all. I love how rigid this one is. The upper slide looks like they made it really light, or as light as they could for quicker feeding purposes and to save material, I would assume. So there's a bunch of slots in it. The sights, you'll notice the back sights don't have any black, or are all black. And then the front sight has the holographic, or whatever you want to call it. I forgot what the name of those are, but anyways, it's got a nice green one. It's got your regular standard Glock style safety on the trigger. No other safety on the gun. A nice fat magazine release. The front of the pistol has a bunch of different muzzle brakes that you could purchase. This is just the one that came with mine. I tend not to run this indoor. I have a suppressor or not a suppressor, a small G&G tracer that I run on the end of this. But when I'm primary or secondary the gun, I'm going to holster it and use it as a secondary. I run this guy. The one thing to keep in mind is for some reason this guy gets really loose really easily. So definitely want to run a little bit of Loctite on it when you're going to be holstering it, moving around outdoors with it so you don't lose it. We'll talk about the hop-up in a second because that TDC hop-up is not standard. It's got a nice mag release, nice and chunky as well. The bottom of the pistol box is very rigid, very square. It's got some grip on the end over here. Nice spot for your finger. Really fits in the hand quite nicely, honestly. I've ran a couple different Glocks, like Glock 17s from VFC, the AAP. I think this grip alone is one of my favorites, alongside the standard AAP style grip. The magwell. So it does have a place to put a plate on the bottom. However, it doesn't have a spot or a hole back here for you to run the standard Glock style stocks. If you wanted to, those wire stocks and whatnot that the regular stock Glocks and the regular AAPs have. Obviously, the takedown is very similar to your regular Glock rack. Comes apart. Looking into the inside of the gun, you're going to notice that it has a small rubber buffer pad. It takes down just the same as your standard Glock, so pull this guy out. Pad pops out, just be careful you don't lose that. Get rid of whatever you have on the front. Separate it from the nozzle. And take it apart. The inside of the Glock is kind of cool. It has a screw in the back of the hammer housing that helps, or at least they claim to say that it helps increase the longevity and increased rapid fire. I don't do a ton of rapid fire, but I'll explain why I do soon, or why I purchased this gun in case I want to soon. The trigger has a couple adjustment points from what I think they are. It's got one screw that you can drive down in the center in order to shorten the amount of pull on the trigger. Other than that, it's your basic polymer Glock style frame. Now, from what I've seen with a lot of the Glocks, right, the pistol, come on, brain work, or not the pistol, loser, the inner barrel is not connected to the outer barrel in any way other than basic friction. So you can just pull it out, place it back in. However, there is a screw on this one, and I like that. It helps a lot by keeping this guy nice and stable. Now, what's cool about this Glock is when firing, the barrel itself doesn't wiggle around like your regular Glocks do. It sits still, which makes your shots much more accurate than it should be. Like, much more accurate. Like, I'm shooting, and I'm shooting probably as well, as far, and as accurate as some of your standard lower price range AEGs when we're indoor. Maximum engagement indoor is probably 150 meters, I would say. Maybe 100 meters or so. And I can hit some shots within the first 2 or 3 trigger pulls, which is fantastic. Now, a couple issues that I've had. Well, first we'll go over the things that I like. Like I said, I like the grip. I like the way it feels. I like all the stippling. I like the idea that the hammer is stronger. I like the full auto switch. I appreciate that the back of the sights don't have any color on them, which make it very easy for you to decipher where the front sight is and aim on your targets much quicker. They do sell a red dot sight that you can attach to the top of this guy. I think you have to pop this off, but it should just be a screw. I do like the typical Novrich twisted barrel or fluted barrels. But what I don't like is the hop up. The original one. This one's just fine. So when I first got this pistol, a challenge that I was having was the hop wheel wasn't staying still. Now I tried to clean it out and obviously get some of the grease out of there and stuff, but it wasn't staying still. The hop was loosening or tightening as I played games, and most of the time it was getting looser, and I was having a really hard time to hit shots. So I went online and I found that they have a TDC hop-up outer barrel, which is just the same outer barrel but with this little grub screw. All you do is unscrew this screw, pull the top out, put it back in to the new one, loosen the hop all the way, and then screw the grub screw in. And it just applies pressure down on the hop rubber as much as you need. And with a little bit of Loctite, it stays super tight and you don't have that problem anymore, which is great. I'll go ahead and throw this guy back together. Just got to keep in mind, this guy's got a rounded edge. You want to make sure the rounded edge goes towards the front. There's no field stripping contest. This is just getting it on the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Going forward, some gas efficiency. So, with the regular pistol mags, there is no problem. Chamber's empty, mag's empty, cool. No problem getting through an entire mag and then some. So you're still getting some decent power. Even on full auto with one mag. For the drum, the standard drum magazines, no problems at all. I could run through 2 to 3 games without running out of gas. A problem that I've had with a couple other pistols is over time they get really cold. And when they get really cold, they don't fire the way I need them to. Sometimes they freeze up. Sometimes the gas is leaking out because the pistol gets too cold or the mag gets too cold. And I'm just spitting gas. Again, obviously, I know filling up your magazine, you want to make sure that there's a small portion of liquid, small portion of gas in there. You don't want to over liquid it or add too much of the liquid inside. Otherwise, you will have those problems. But this has no issues with that. I've even found if I'm filling it too long, it still doesn't smoke out. And it has no problems with consistent rapid fire, at least with red gas, anywhere above 40 degrees. I've had a great time with it. All of the pins seem to stay still when you're going like absolutely ham on the full auto. It is great to have the full auto option just because when you're, playing outdoors or something like that, you lose your primary or you're sniping, you can just look into a bush, or if you see some guy through the woods or in a window, you just and absolutely laser them. You don't have to worry about 1, 2, maybe 3 shots. You can hammer down fire, which is really nice. Like I said, this guy gets pretty loose, so you got to add a little Loctite to it. So that's great. As for issues, like I said, the only problem that I've had so far is the hop up, and again, that's fixed. The one thing that's kind of interesting is the trigger pull. It's very heavy. I don't have a tester to test it out, but it takes much more force than a regular Glock style trigger does. So that's one downside. You can't fire off shots as quick as possible with it, or as quick as I would like. However, it's still, for its reliability, it's great. And the best part about this pistol, I know a lot of replacement parts are coming from different companies for different Glock pistols. Maybe they come in at first and they're not the best standard or the best right out of the box. However, this pistol is designed so you don't need to do any upgrades. And I definitely feel like it delivers that. It shoots straight, other than the hop up. It shoots straight. It's accurate. It's efficient. It's reliable. Nothing has busted yet, which is great. And all of the parts can be sourced from one website. And most of the time, depending on where you live, at least where I am located, it takes maximum 2 to 3 days for all of the parts to get delivered. So, would I recommend it? Sure, if you like the look of it. If you prefer your regular standard Glock, go for it. They work great. The AEP is still the god in my opinion. However, for ease of use and for idiots like myself, SSP 18. So, is it cash or is it ass? I'd say cash.